Happy Wednesday, Ripples. Welcome to our next edition of What Matters Wednesday. Today we are obviously going to be talking about relationships like we have been for the last couple weeks. In week number 1, we did discuss authenticity, what authenticity actually is and why it's important. Last week we went over the importance of relationships and the relationships that you have, how we as human beings are social creatures, and our actual overall success in life and our happiness is dependent upon the relationships we have. So this week it was actually kind of ironic. I was being interviewed on a radio show and one of the listeners asked this question: what is the single most important thing for a relationship to be successful? And I thought, well, how nice. That kind of flows in with everything it is that we've been covering. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to answer it on the show, so I'm going to go ahead and address it here. And the answer that I'm going to give you is probably not what you think it's going to be. So if I was to ask you what the single most important thing for a successful relationship was, what would you tell me? Some people would say it's honesty. Some people would say it's trust. Some people would say that, well, a relationship is successful when we're able to communicate, when I'm understood, when I'm accepted for who I am. Okay, yes. All of those things are important in a successful relationship. However, there isn't a single one of those that is going to determine whether or not your relationship is successful. So, the key to a successful relationship is commitment. And I don't mean marriage. I don't mean a contract. I don't mean forever. What I'm talking about when I say commitment is the commitment of the two people in the relationship to that relationship. So if you enter into a relationship, business, professional, personal, you're entering into it for a particular reason, okay? Both parties are. You're entering into it because you both want to get something out of it. We covered that last week, that a relationship is a mutually beneficial arrangement between two parties, two people. So usually that common goal that you're both working towards is that betterment. In networking, you're trying to build connections and you want the referral, new customers. In a personal realm, it's you feel more complete. The person that you're in the relationship with provides something that you don't personally have as strong as they do. At work, you're going to work, you're entering into a job because you need a paycheck, you have skills that's going to help the company's hiring you because they need the skills that you have and they're going to give you a paycheck. So you're working towards that common goal. Okay. And that happens in a relationship when there is commitment by those parties. So the mutual common goal. Another thing that happens when both parties are committed to the relationship is there is an element of trust that is established, created, and held, okay? And trust is important, personally or professionally. Another thing that when two people are committed to a relationship that's included is honesty. It is okay for you to not be okay and for you to share that with the other person in the relationship. It is okay for you to be excited. It is okay for you to be who you are, to say what is on your mind, ideally in a tactful, meaningful way. But sometimes, emotions get the best of us. But then that's not held against you. So honesty. Honesty comes from a relationship, a successful relationship where both parties are equally committed. Already addressed the working towards the common goal. When two parties are committed to a relationship, there is an element of communication that must be there in order for the relationship to exist. Okay, so communication can happen in the form of an email and a text. Ideally, it's going to be two people actually talking to each other on the phone, via Skype, face-to-face. Oh my God, shock the world, face-to-face. Funny note on that, just real side note, I started a meetup group, and the whole point was small group coaching is what I wanted to do. And within 16 hours, 57 people signed up for that program. However, then they didn't want to actually show up. They didn't want to come and be there, be present, to actually get the coaching, which to me was just funny. It baffled me. But anyway, side note. So another element of a relationship where both parties are equally committed is there is appreciation and there is gratitude for the presence of the other person in the relationship. When I say appreciation and gratitude, while yes, it is I did, I took out the trash, or I did this report, or I did this phone call, or I followed up with this person, or I walked across the street and helped the elderly neighbor with her groceries. Yes, it is appreciation for things, but it is also appreciation and gratitude for the existence of that person and their involvement in your life. So ideally, remember, the common goal that you're all working towards is betterment of the other party and betterment of yourself. So appreciating the fact that you are better for having that relationship. I tell my couples this a lot of times when they're struggling with, well, why are we together? And my question is, well, why are you together? What is it about that person that you're with that has made you be a better person? Okay. I can use a personal example. My significant other, a phenomenal man. Probably one thing that I would credit him for right now would be the fact that he made me a better person because he helped me bring down the wall that I had up from dealing with a lot of trauma in a past relationship. And he helped that wall come down. He helped make it okay for it to come down because of the level of trust that is in our relationship, because of the level of honesty that we both expect from one another in our relationship, because we are both committed towards helping the other person be a better person, personally and professionally. So it's not just one level. But then I appreciate him for that. Sometimes I probably don't tell him that enough, but I try to tell him as often as I can, or to let him know in other ways. So another key element for a relationship when both parties are equally committed is generosity. Generosity, which I have talked about in my relationship course, Basic Relationship 101, the secret sauce is generosity, okay? You're doing what you're doing simply for the sake of helping that person, okay? So in a networking realm, while yes, ideally what you want is a referral or a customer, that generosity that you're giving in order to get it and building that relationship is you're helping them along the way. You're coaching them, you're mentoring them, you're giving them what you can to help them get to a better place. And ideally along the road, somewhere that pays off and you get that referral, that client, that whatever. Business relationships are the same. The generosity, sometimes it's the employee that puts in 70 hours a week and only gets paid for 40. Goodness knows I've been there. I know many people that are still there. Generosity is the employee who, though they have a desk full of obligations and projects that they're working on, that they're steadily working on, who sees their coworker next to them suffering and struggling with something and still reaches out to help. Professionally, it is the company who sees an employee that is dedicated and that has been there and that is doing their job struggling, and then the company itself actually reaches out to that individual to see how can they help. It's the whole, we notice that there's something that's just not right, or not the same. I don't want to say not right, but that isn't the same. Something's changed in you and what is going on. How can we help? So there's that generosity. The key with generosity, I want to stress, is that you're doing it just because. You're not doing it for a payback, okay? That's different. So sometimes it's the whole pay it forward thing. I want you to have that process. I'm going to do something for you, and I'm really not worried whether or not you do something for me. I want you to do something for somebody else. That's how you're going to pay me back. So if you haven't seen the movie Pay It Forward, I recommend seeing it. It's a great movie. Older movie, but very, very good. So 3 things that you can do then to have more successful relationships, which ideally then is you're increasing the level of commitment in the relationships you have. My first tip, figure out what your most important relationship that you have today is. It could be personal or professional. It doesn't really matter. But what I want you to do is take inventory of that relationship. How successful is it? So, how committed are you to that relationship, and how committed does it feel the other party is to that relationship? Is there trust? Is there honesty? Are you working towards the common goal? Is there open communication? Is there the mutual flow of appreciation and gratitude? Is there a sense of generosity in that relationship? Okay. If not, if there isn't, and that relationship is that important, then my next tip is going to be conversation. Have a conversation with that other party. Okay. Personally or professionally, there's a certain way that you should handle it, and I can't cover that here, obviously, because we're running out of time. But if you would like help with that, please send me an email. I can go ahead and walk you through that process really quick. Third tip, make a list of all the relationships you have. And I probably should have given this tip last week also, but I'm going to give it today. So make a list of all the relationships you have and inventory whether or not those relationships are helping you be a better version of yourself, okay? And whether or not in those relationships you're actually helping the other party be a better version of themselves. So that kind of gives you a pulse point of where you are, where you can improve, what you need to stop, what you need to increase, okay? We can always be more committed. I'm not saying being more committed to your relationship is the answer if the other party is not equally committed. Okay, remember, relationships, it's more than just you. That level of commitment has to come from more than just you. So if that commitment's not there, it requires a conversation. Those are my 3 tips. So again, today we talked about what the single most important element for a successful relationship is, personally or professionally, and the answer is commitment. It is the commitment that the 2 parties have to the success of that relationship. That's what I'm talking about. I hope you all have a most awesome rest of your day and a successful rest of the week. If there is a topic that you would like me to cover, or if you have a question that you want to ask, go ahead and shoot me an email. You can also join the Facebook group, which is Relationship Coaching and Coffee. It is a private Facebook group. There are 3 questions you have to answer in order to join it, which are pretty simple. You can find that link on the Facebook page for Good for Your Soul if you'd like. You can also email me, and if you'd like, I can give you the link that way. I will actually include it in the email and below this video so that you have it if you just want to pop in and join. It is free coaching and a good community that is all there to help you be a better version of yourself, as well as everyone improve who they are. So have a most awesome day. Thank you.